Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online Series 9 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we're trying out a really interesting team from the recent Japanese Nationals online qualifiers, featuring Sludge Wave Thundurus with Citrus Berry, as well as Taunt, Scary Face, and Eerie Impulse, and a Weakness Policy Super Luck Togekiss. This was originally built by a player called Bars. You may remember him because we actually featured one of his teams, I think in around December, back when it was Series 7, and it was used by a player raised in TO in the most recent qualifying tournament. So, you know, there are some really cool components to this team, namely the Thundurus and the Togekiss. You know, Togekiss was one of the strongest Pokemon back in the beginning of VGC 2020. It was super interesting because this wasn't like a really dominant Pokemon in VGC in previous years, but when you add Dynamax to the mix, it turned into a really strong offensive threat and defensive threat, and there was a lot of flexibility behind how you could use this Pokemon. And so, you know, Scope Lens, for example, was a really common set, and that had really dominated the early meta, you know, at the start of Sword and Shield. So now Togekiss has kind of returned, but it's interesting because I think a lot of players have kind of forgotten about this Pokemon in general, and most of the times I think when people see Togekiss, they expect it to be a more support-oriented set. You know, Follow Me, Yawn, Protect, for example. This is the complete opposite. There's no Follow Me on the Togekiss, right? It's a Weakness Policy set, and it's full offense with Air Slash, Dazzling Gleam, Heat Wave, and Protect. Thundurus is also a really interesting Pokemon because most of the times when people see it, they assume, oh, it's going to be Defiant, it's going to be like Assault Vest or Life Orb, for example, but this is completely different, right? You have the Sludge Wave to activate the policy on Togekiss. You also have Eerie Impulse, which is really valuable into a lot of the special attackers in the format. That's also, you know, gets priority via Prankster, and then Taunt and Scary Face are both really nice moves. Scary Face in particular, because I think normally when people see Thundurus, they think that the best speed control is either going to come from like a potential Thunder Wave or a Max Airstream. Scary Face, however, can just drop your opponent's stats by 2 immediately. To round out the team, there's Classic Water Urshifu. We've seen a lot of that recently, and it seems like that has been a really popular pick, so no surprise to continue to see that. Assault Vest Kartana, which has really been a staple, although I feel like we haven't faced against it too much recently. Life Orb Garchomp, you know, we just featured Garchomp, but this is a slightly different set with Life Orb and the Swords Dance, and then finally the Incineroar with the Shuca Berry. So dual Taunt is also valuable here. I think Taunt is a move that sometimes players, you know, kind of forget about on Incineroar, and it gives you a lot of value into Trick Room setters, for example, like Dusclops, or to shut down things like Amoonguss. So, you know, this is definitely a more hyper-offensive team. You're really going to try to Dynamax Togekiss, Garchomp, or Kartana, but the cool thing is that all of these Pokemon that you want to max are also pretty strong outside of Dynamax, right? So it gives you a lot of flexibility in what you actually might want to potentially max. Either way, I think the Thundurus plus Togekiss duo is something I'm really excited to try out, just because I think not a lot of people expect this duo specifically, and certainly don't expect Weakness Policy when they see it. So let's get into today's episode. Rental for the team is down in the description below, as well as on your screen, and thanks so much as always for watching. If you enjoyed, please show your support by leaving a like. I'd really appreciate it. And question of the day, I'm curious if you could give any Pokemon in the format right now one extra move in addition to its current move pool, what would it be and why? Down in the comments section below. So let's get started. All right, getting into our first match of the day, and ooh, Lapras. Okay. I have to say, I don't know how good this is for Togekiss. Actually, Lapras in general is a really tough matchup for us. That's not going to be easy, but the upside is that the majority of my opponent's attackers are special attackers, right? So Thundurus can Eerie Impulse pretty much all of them. So I really like Thundurus lead here. Kartana is actually a really good max option if we can eliminate Rotom. It's just hard to guarantee that. Like, Eerie Impulse is super valuable for us here, but I feel like I really should be leading something that I can max. What would they lead? I feel like Rotom-H would be in the back. So I could theoretically lead Garchomp and like Eerie Impulse Max Quake turn 1. And Togekiss is not bad in the late game, but it might be smarter to bring Urshifu plus Kartana here. I don't know, alternatively? Hold on. What if I just go Thundurus plus Togekiss? Garchomp? And then Kartana? Alright, I'm down to try this out. I don't know, there's a lot of different approaches we can play with. I played a couple of games to warm up with this team. And one mistake I kept making is like assuming my opponent has knowledge of the Togekiss set. Like you can often win the game on turn 1 alone with this team because your opponent just doesn't see the Thundurus plus Togekiss strat coming. So what I'm thinking here is if they go like Lapras, I mean I can Eerie Impulse and they'll activate my Policy. My only fear here, as they have Whimsicott, which is fine. My only fear is if they have Trick on Whimsicott. But I think here likely they're gonna go Resonance and Tailwind. Could be Fake Tears as well, which is scary. Either way, I think I'm fine at Eerie Impulse Lapras turn 1. We brought Kartana and Garchomp in the back. Our goal should be to eliminate Lapras ASAP. So Eerie Impulse into Lapras, max this thing, and go for a Airstream. Now this is Super Luck Togekiss, but there's no Scope Lens, right? So our chances of critting are better than usual, but still not amazing. So I'm hoping they go Tailwind Resonance into Togekiss turn 1. Because that would activate our own Policy. I also could have just gone Sludge Wave Airstream. But I don't want to give them a free switch in on turn 1 if they're setting up Tailwind. Because that's actually not good for us. I guess the other thing is that my opponent has to respect like AV Thundurus here actually, right? But that might work in our favor more than anything. Because even if you're like trick stuff, like maybe you would trick the Thundurus instead. So, I don't know. Eerie Impulse is so helpful here, though, into my opponent's entire team. Like Lapras, Rotom-H, they're all special attackers, right? And I can Sludge Wave potentially next turn. Alright, they just go for Tailwind. Good. That's what I wanted to see. So your Lapras is at -2 now. Even Life Orb Resonance I don't think would KO Thundurus, but I could be wrong on that. If it's coming from, like, Blizzard, maybe? Alright, there's Resonance. Ideally, they target Togekiss here, but it is going to beat the Thundurus target. Okay, that's fine. Did more than I would have liked, to be honest. Definitely did a little bit more than I would have liked, but that's okay. That makes me think it's Life Orb. Show me Life Orb. Yep, there it is. Okay. So I can Eerie Impulse again next turn, which is obviously good. Man, my other question is, like, can we outspeed Lapras after an Airstream? Because if so, I can go Sludge Wave Airstream into Whimsicott. Hold on, that's actually pretty compelling, and I think we might outspeed Oh, I mean, it's Life Orb Lapras and a Tailwind team, so I'm not confident on that. How much speed are we at right now? It's effectively like 270, right? Lapras would need 135-ish. This is 240. Or not 240, sorry. Yeah, what am I saying, 270? This is 270, this is around 180. I think Togekiss probably still gets outsped here, but that wouldn't be too much of an issue, right? I really here want to go Sludge Wave. Oh, but we're faster with Togekiss than Lapras. Okay, I'm down to Sludge Wave Airstream here. Nice! Oh, this is so good regardless of what Whimsicott's doing. I hope we survive Moonblast. That would actually be such a big survival. Ah, it wasn't enough. Okay, I'm actually very sad about that. Getting Sludge Wave off there would have been phenomenal. Is there anything else I could have done differently there? No, I don't think so. I don't think Moonblast is a guaranteed KO there. I feel like it's a roll. So, yeah. If we survived, we'd actually be in such incredible shape because we would have knocked out the Whimsicott as well. So I can go into Kartana now. We have the Assault Vest, which is obviously valuable. We know they're not Weakness Policy. It's also valuable. Their Tailwind has one more turn left. I can go for another Airstream here. I'm actually going to double up into Lapras in this position, I think. Yeah. And the reason for that is because I don't really care that much about Whimsicott right now. They are Fake Tears, though, but with... I think we should survive. Okay, no crit on the Airstream. We have, like, slightly better crit chances here with both Leaf Blade and Max Airstream. Crit into the Lapras here could be, like, game-defining. I'm so sad we couldn't survive. That's really, really a bummer. Okay, no crit on either, so Lapras does end up hanging on. Resonance into Kartana. And we survive with 2. Okay, very nice. Okay, so now we're in the end game, right? I've gotten this Togekiss to +3 speed via triple max Airstreaming. So we should outspeed Whimsicott now. Right? It's the last turn of Tailwind on my opponent's end. So you would think they protect the Whimsicott here, right? Or sorry, protect the Lapras here. If Whimsicott actually has Protect, I mean, Moonblast, Fake Tears, Tailwind and Protect? Oh, that actually would make a lot of sense. I mean, either way, our Togekiss actually outspeeds everything in this endgame. Actually, before I make my moves too fast, let's think about what they could switch into, because they could totally switch Whimsicott out right now. So I think we actually want a Sacred Sword, the Whimsicott slot, to cover for a switch out and Gleam here. Yeah. Okay, it does have Protect. That's not good. That would have been a reason to KO it last turn. Yeah. So they'll get another Tailwind up, and the problem is they can get a Tailwind up, and then whatever comes in can then outspeed Kartana. Whether it be like Rotom-H or Regieleki. Now the thing is, they actually never ended up targeting Togekiss, so my policy was never activated, unfortunately. So Whimsicott should always Tailwind here, but that means my opponent only has one Pokemon that puts on offensive pressure. And they bring out their own Kartana, which I'm okay with, because I can just Heat Wave here, right? Yeah. That feels pretty safe to me. +1 speed. They're gonna Tailwind. I'm gonna Heat Wave here. I could withdraw Kartana out in a Garchomp, but I think their last one is gonna be Rotom if I had to guess. Would it be actually, if you had Rotom, you would have brought it out now, right? Wait, what is their last one? I feel like Kartana actually makes the least sense here from their perspective. Yeah, either way, I'm gonna Sacred Sword Heat Wave here. They might survive Heat Wave if they're AV and they have and because they have the screens up right now. Okay, they are fast. Wow, they're still faster with Kartana. Okay, that's not good. They're gonna Sacred Sword and get a Beast Boost that way too, which is also not good. Let's see, Heat Wave comes out, does connect on both, which is good. Yeah, that's still enough to eliminate Kartana. Okay, that's why I was kind of surprised to see Kartana come out. Oh, I really wonder what the roll on Thundurus was, because I honestly really thought we'd survive that turn. And a knockout there would have been very, very nice. But hey, now it's, you know, 2-1, and both of my Pokemon are still healthy. Pretty difficult for you to actually one-shot Togekiss. Like, most of the attacks you'd use would probably end up activating my weakness policy. So I think Thundurus plus Garchomp should shield this up. Their remaining three are going to be what? Rotom-H, Regieleki, and was it Urshifu? None of those can beat the combination of these two. So I think we should be good. What was a big deal turn one was my opponent... I mean, if they had activated the policy on Togekiss, we would have been moving, but, like, yeah, it makes sense that they wanted to target the Thundurus instead, right? Because most players are going to expect offensive Thundurus in that position. So, like, I think it could have been appropriate for us. No, I really like Eerie Impulse there. I think that's actually really critical. Either way, we can just Earthquake here and Dazzle. Urshifu's never going to win this 2v1, even if it were like, oh, okay, well, it does have Poison Jab. I don't think this KOs, right? No, it doesn't. Nice. So our policy finally gets activated, but a little bit too late. I didn't really get to do like the classic Thundurus Togekiss, you know, stuff here, but either way, this Togekiss was so clutch for us, right? But that explains, and that's probably Choice Band Urshifu, as you see, it's not Focus Sash, because Sash is going to be on Whimsicott, and as a result, yeah, Band makes a lot of sense there, but that also makes sense as to why they brought out Kartana first over Urshifu, because if Urshifu comes out, I can just Dazzling Gleam. So Togekiss was just like incredibly offensive here. From an offensive spectrum. Rotom-H, Spexalecki, that could have been a little scary. It was Life Orb Blizzard. I was wondering how the Resonance did so much damage. That would make sense. Yep, Bandit, Urshifu, AV Kartana, Sash, Whimsicott. Cool. So really good showing for Togekiss there, despite going up against a Lapras. Like, I think our team is definitely a little bit Lapras weak, but the Eerie Impulse makes all the difference, right? Because the point of like the Lapras on my opponent's team is really to just like snowball knockouts really, really quickly, but you can't really do that when you add Eerie Impulse to the mix, right? So, yeah. Alright, next game here, and I think we've played this player before. Obviously they have a Perish Trap team. Have to worry about Azumarill, Gothitelle lead, Dragapult lead. I don't want to approach this. You know what's really interesting, honestly? Just going Thundurus plus Togekiss again. Because, like, with this, if you go Dragapult plus Coal, I can just go for Eerie Impulse Coalossal, Max Starfall, Dragapult turn 1. Garchomp in the back, and then Urshifu. Yeah, I think that works for me. I don't want Kartana in this game, especially because it's probably Sapsip or Azumarill. Incineroar could actually be really valuable against the bottom 4 Pokemon, but I don't feel great about it. So, yeah. You know, we've explored the idea of Coalossal with Perish Song, you guys might remember we used Santee's team, updated Coalossal team in the end or mid of Series 7, and it was basically very similar to this team. And then, you know, we had just previously featured the Primarina team with Tauros as well, and you know, that team had Perish Song as well. So the basic goal of a team like this typically is to just try to pick up 2 knockouts as quickly as possible, because we have Eerie Impulse here, and like Coalossal is going to max almost every time on my opponent's team, we can at least shut it down relatively well. I don't like leading Garchomp here because you could just protect Coalossal Will-O-Wisp Garchomp in the beginning of the game. They came really close to timer there. I don't know if they actually timed out or not. If it's Drag Hole, you know, then just to keep in mind, like Rillaboom and Azumarill would be the 2 Pokemon in the back if they actually timed out there. So yeah, let's see. Either way, I kind of expect Drag Hole here. Yep, okay. My only fear is if it's Sash Pult, because like the play I want to make is Eerie Impulse Coalossal, Starfall Dragapult, because if we eliminate Pult, you can't Will-O-Wisp. Well, actually, Starfall just means you can't Will-O-Wisp anyway, right? So yeah, I think I am just going to Eerie Impulse max and Starfall turn 1 into Pult. And then we'll go from there. You can't Perish Song very easily if I also pick up knockouts quickly, right? Like, if you bring your opponent down to 2 Pokemon before they bring you down to 2, that means it's harder for them to win the game via Perish Song. Now, they still could, because if they're the slowest Pokemon, right, then they'll faint last in like a Perish versus Perish endgame. But the upside is that it's a lot harder to actually win the game off Perish Song if you do not have the numbers advantage relative to your opponent. So, yeah. Ideally, they go Surf Volclid, target the Togekiss here. And then we just knock out the Dragapult. But I think Sash Pult here definitely could be a possibility. That's my fear. You'll see Sash, you'll see the Resist Berries, Light Clay even occasionally, Life Orb sometimes for the potential max option. Okay, either way we get Eerie Impulse, which is a good start. There's Surf, yep. I could have let Urshifu here as well, but like it doesn't work out that well because you can just break my Sash, right? And then Coalossal can just launch an attack into it, so it didn't feel like it was super good. Alright, there's our Volclid. Who are you targeting right now? Okay, it does go into Thundurus. It does not activate a Policy, unfortunately, for us this turn, but that's okay. If we eliminate the Dragapult this turn, it's actually a really good turn for us, honestly. I don't know. I don't know. I think Sash is a very likely possibility here, especially because they don't have another likely Sash user on their team. Yeah, I knew it. Okay, that's a pain. Oh, that is a pain. Okay, but I mean, we can go out and Garchomp, right? You can't burn us anymore. You can Dragon Darts, but that damage is also reduced because of terrain. I just want to be very careful about now not going down too many Pokemon too quickly. But I don't even think like Dragon Darts plus an attack from Coalossal KO. So here, honestly, I'm kind of comfortable just Earthquaking and Max Airstreaming, I think. Just the other argument to make is to protect Garchomp in this position. But because of Misty Terrain being up, I really don't think you can actually knock us out right now. So I think I'm actually willing to just Earthquake and Airstream in this position. Okay, they Max Guard, that's fine. Maybe Dragon Darts? Oh, that was a really smart play. And I had no counterplay to that, to be honest. That was really, really cool. I really like that play on their end. The only thing I could have done there was, I guess, Swords Dance. Now, okay, I definitely didn't expect Phantom Force there. I still don't know if you can eliminate the Garchomp here with the double up with Phantom Force and like a Max Quake from Cole. So I think I'm still just gonna Earthquake here and Airstream. But that is, Phantom Force makes so much sense on a Perish Trap team too, right? Yep, so it is Max Quake. Could have protected Garchomp this turn, but that doesn't protect against the... I feel like we should survive this, but maybe it's just max attack, max speed, Dragapult. That would actually make a lot of sense, too. Oh, what a smart play. I thought I really had pinned my opponent. Ah, Garchomp doesn't survive that. Wow. So Rubskin takes care of the Dragapult, but the thing is now they can just go for Perish Song. My Policy was never activated either, which is a really big bummer. Phantom Force was the game changer. I thought like we had really gotten our opponent into a pretty tricky spot with how we had played this, but actually ended up not being the case, unfortunately. I'm really also curious about the damage calc there on the Garchomp, but that was nicely executed. The main thing here is that they never targeted Togekiss, right? Like, part of it is, I guess, is because people, like, don't think Togekiss is that big of an offensive threat. So now the problem is they have Azumarill, right? So they can go for the Perish Song endgame. Okay, how do we play around that? I don't think we can ever KO Azumarill in one hit here, even if I doubled up into it. So I think I have to go Aqua Jet here, try to KO this thing, and a Air Slash flinch onto Azumarill, I think is our best chance right now. But Phantom Force was such a game changer there. Like, it was the worst Dragapult set for us to run into, basically. Oh, interesting that they actually protect Azumarill, okay. That makes sense if you have a fake out user in the back. So it's like you sacrifice Coalossal, don't take any damage onto Azumarill, and then you get a free switch in. Like, Gothitelle or Rillaboom both can fake out right now into us, right? So that would make a lot of sense. And they will win the game off Perish Song in this end scenario. I mean, if you have Rillaboom, you can just go for Glide. Although, you don't know that I don't have Follow Me on Togekiss. Yeah, if we survive the Phantom Force on the Garchomp and Earthquake KO'd, I think this would be a completely different game. Yeah, it is Rillaboom in the back. Okay. If I'm my opponent, what am I going for here? I would fake out the Togekiss and Perish Song with the Azumarill. I don't really feel like I have an out to that. Like, I don't... Unless I'd have to KO Azumarill, right? You should always fake out Togekiss in this position. I'm going close combat Air Slash and a Rillaboom. I don't know what the right target was here. Because, like, I could have targeted Azumarill, but I feel like if we want to win this game, like, Azumarill my opponent's end, oh, that was so close to a KO. Actually, if we picked up the knockout there, that would have been the win, but we were lucky to even crit to begin with. Here's my line of thinking, right? Like, now you do set up Perish Song, but you can't protect in front of Urshifu. So I can still close combat away. But the thing is, I don't have Follow Me on Togekiss, right? So, like, you would expect my opponent to just glide into the Urshifu slot here. And I don't think 2 close combats KOs Azumarill. So, like, my best bet here feels like it's to... Unless Rillaboom has Protect, which I feel like it should. Ah, the Phantom Force was so smart. Man, that was such a cool play. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, like, Sash, Phantom Force, Dragon Dart, Surf. But you don't need to protect Azumarill this turn if you're my opponent. Like, the play I want to make here is Protect and Heat Wave. Because I don't want to Follow Me. If I had Follow Me, I don't know. It feels like they have a guaranteed win here. Rillaboom did Protect. I actually could have close combated Azumarill here. Or close combated Rillaboom. Yeah, that was our only path to victory. I think if we close combated Rillaboom here, we actually had a very legitimate shot at winning. And, like, they... yeah. Now I don't really have an out, because they can just glide us, yeah. I think I had to go for the close combat there that turn. Yeah, I mean, now I can close combat Heat Wave. So if for some reason they don't glide into Rillaboom here, like we stand, or sorry, into Urshifu, we stand a shot, but yeah, there's glide. Yeah, this is the problem, because now I've also just basically revealed I didn't have Follow Me. So if I had just close combated Rillaboom last turn, it would have fainted, and then I have 2 turns against Azumarill in which it can't go for Protect very easily the next turn, right? To which then I could Air Slash close combat you. I don't even know if we had enough damage, though, between Togekiss and Urshifu to actually KO Azumarill, because it's probably buried anyway, so I don't think it honestly would have made that big of a difference. But the main thing that was critical in this game was that I didn't get enough usage out of my Garchomp, right? Or my Maxmon. They wasted my Max really well and played around the potential weakness policy really, really well as well. I don't think I would have brought any different Pokemon. I mean, how could I have played it differently? See, the thing is, they probably don't have Will-O-Wisp on the Dragapult then if I had to... But maybe it's Phantom Force, Will-O-Wisp, Surf, Dragon Darts. Like, I don't know the moveset. Like, that's what makes it tricky. It was the combination of them having Focus Sash and Phantom Force that made this game so much harder. Because they basically were able to actually eliminate Garchomp despite me getting that Eerie Impulse off. Because Dragon Darts plus Max Quake wouldn't have been enough. So, yeah. Either way, I mean, that was a really good executed game on their end. I think we could have had a chance if I close combated Rillaboom there in the end instead, but kind of tough to do that. They were very smart to never target Togekiss too, because that would have activated Policy. Although, I don't know how much of a difference that actually would have ended up making, so yeah. Either way, really, really nicely played, and I mean, Coalossal was not exactly like the easiest matchup, but they also played super well, and their Dragapult, like, that was an example of how, like, your sets matter a lot, right? If it's just a regular, like, Colbur Berry Dragapult, for example, we should have a very good advantage in that game, because Togekiss will just eliminate Azumarill and Rillaboom, and then Garchomp can clean up. This is some scary hyper offense. But once again, I think Thundurus with Eerie Impulse, super good for us here. Alright, I'm down to just go Thundurus Togekiss again. I just want a Sludge Wave turn 1, man. That's what I want more than anything, but Thundurus, Togekiss, Garchomp, Urshifu. The standard. Feels okay to me. Man, what else to say about that last game? Was there anything I could have done differently in terms of Pokemon? I don't think Incineroar moves the needle there at all. I just have to wonder if I had close combated Rillaboom, my opponent would have 2 turns of Perish left, and then we can Air Slash close combat and then another close combat. But if you have a Berry, which you should, I don't think we win anyway. So yeah. Alright, there goes Sableye plus Porygon. I'll tell you what I want to do here. I want to Eerie Impulse this thing, max this thing, and Starfall into Sableye. You know, the other problem, though, is that it definitely could be Trick. And if I max into Trick, it's so doomed. Okay, I think I'm actually just going to Eerie Impulse and Dazzling Gleam then, because I think Sableye having Trick eject button here is actually pretty likely. And if I max Togekiss and I get ejected out, it's so hard to come back from that. Whereas, like, okay, let's say even I lose Togekiss turn 1, it's not the end of the world, because I get a free switch into Garchomp. Though I suppose they probably have Will-O-Wisp on the Sableye, so yeah. Maybe protecting Togekiss was a little bit better here. Okay, but they go for Fake Out onto Thundurus. Strike here into Togekiss? That would be... Okay, yeah, they target Thundurus. That makes sense, because I was like, if you targeted Togekiss here, you risk max Thundurus turn 1, and that's so incredibly risky. But this outcome is not that bad. Although they are buried on Sableye, which is amazing for us. Okay. Yeah, it's not great. I can bring in Garchomp. I think we probably bring in Urshifu. Yeah. Now, I don't have Follow Me, but they don't know that. However, we know now that they're not eject on this thing, which is good, right? Like here, I want to close combat into Porygon, max this thing, and go for a Starfall onto Sableye. You would think Sableye... Well, the thing is, do you Will-O-Wisp here? Because, like, yeah, how do you beat Follow Me plus close combat, right? I also kind of wanted to max Urshifu here for speed boost, but I didn't know if it would KO Sableye. Like, I didn't think so. I didn't think it would. You know what would have been wild in this game? Max Thundurus to max Ooze turn 1. Get a special attack boost, but it doesn't... Even that, plus a +1 Dazzle is not going to KO Sableye there, so it's never worth it. Alright, they go for Quash. I mean, that's fine. You're never going to one-shot this thing anyway. So I should pick up a double KO here. Max Strike's just going to do a lot to Togekiss, though. Yeah. But not enough for a KO. And I still have my Focus Sash intact on Urshifu, plus a Life Orb Garchomp in the back, so I feel like it's okay for us. Assuming close combat KOs Porygon, it might not, but I'd be surprised, actually, if it didn't. Okay, so that's out of the way. Now, they have so much offense in the back, but this is still really scary, right? But the upside, at least, is that Urshifu has its Sash. However, if you have, like, Regieleki plus something else, that could spell disaster for us. To which, then I could max guard Togekiss, actually, and switch Urshifu out. That's a possibility. Either way, pretty interesting to see Porygon-Z again. Like, Porygon-Z Togekiss were two of the most dominant Pokemon in, like, early VGC 2020, right? Or not even early, just throughout the season. Yeah. So, okay. 3-2. I have one more turn of max to work with, but I'm pretty slow. That's Whimsicott coming out. That's actually very good to see, because that's not an offensive threat. And Chandelure? Huh, okay. I think I'm okay with that as well. What's the thing to watch out for here? Like, the play I want to make is... We should have a win here, right? Like, let's think this through. You can't KO unless you double up on this thing. Dazzling Gleam, Heat Wave. Moonblast, Heat Wave. Like, the thing is, I have Aqua Jet, right? So I can just Aqua Jet Whimsicott, max Airstream it. But the problem is that they go, I don't know, like, Fake Tears here into Togekiss. I feel like it's pretty unlikely, though, because Urshifu is such a big threat. If we eliminate Whimsicott, Garchomp wins the game. So that's what I'm going for here. Kind of going all in on this play. Okay, we win, but... What? I didn't even know that was a berry in the game. What's the upside of using that over Rocky Helmet? How does that just activate on any physical contact move or any move? Dude, my mind is blown right now. Either way, yeah, like that play worked out right because now Garchomp just wins the end game. But what in the world? I think, if anything, though, this game highlights the slight downside of using Pokemon like Sableye and Whimsicott. They just don't do that much damage, right? So, effectively, like, I was playing with 3 offensive Pokemon in Togekiss, Garchomp, and Urshifu, whereas they only had Chandelure and Porygon. So, that was, like, the main advantage for us. Either way, we can just EQ now and Airstream. That was wild. But that's why I wanted to Aqua Jet there, right? Because if I went Surging Strikes... Well, Whimsicott would have fainted anyway because they weren't Sash. So, to be honest, I think this game was a wrap anyway. But you should assume Sash Whimsicott until you see otherwise. Either way, what was that? Jacoba Berry? Jaboka? I've never seen that before. That's crazy. Alright. Well, that was definitely a fun match, and we have time for a 4th one, so let's look for it. I just haven't gone Thundurus Togekiss. I just want to do it once. Ooh, they had Ally Switch here, but I think Aqua Jet Airstream always covered for pretty much everything that could have happened. What is it? Jaboka Berry. Physical. It's only physical, okay. Wow. Life Orb Porygon. Like, you knew this team was going to have some wild stuff when you saw it in Team Preview, right? The Rillaboom. I think turn 1 against Sableye, you always want to respect Trick Eject, because if it actually is Trick Eject and you get booted out on turn 1, it is just so bad for you. Like, it's just so bad. So, yeah, but that was a really, really scary team. So, let's look for our last game of the day. Alright, last match of the day. Very interesting team here with now you go Talonflame, Lapras, Ferrothorn, and Lando. Okay. So we dealt with Lapras earlier. Indeede is actually a really big problem, though, because it means I can't Eerie Impulse you. That's not good. Like, if they go Indeede plus Lapras, what's my counterplay? AV Kartana is pretty good, I guess. I feel like the approach here is Thundurus, Togekiss, Kartana. It's between Garchomp and Urshifu. I lean more towards Urshifu here, just for a really powerful close combat into Lapras, so let's try this out. The thing is, depending on the lead, like, let's say they don't lead Indeede, I can Eerie Impulse. If they lead Indeede, I'm probably gonna have to pivot and then max the Kartana instead. So then, like, what I would do turn 1 is probably just go, like, Sludge Wave Dazzle. Although, I don't know, like, the thing is with these leads, like, players almost always like to target Thundurus instead, right? Because you think it's gonna be max lightning on that. They go Talonflame plus, Lapras, which actually I'm very happy to see. Like, I think this is fine for us, because I can just Eerie Impulse the Lapras to start things off, right? So we Eerie Impulse that, which should conceivably max. I mean, if we eliminate Talonflame, Kartana does really well, right? So, like, I almost don't want to max here, because I think it's likely Thundurus gets targeted down instead. So, like, Eerie Impulse and just Air Slash turn 1. Because if you do indeed target Thundurus, we're actually in very good shape going into turn 2. Yeah. Either way, Eerie Impulse has been so good here. It's just wild. Yeah, like, you know, Today feels like we're really playing the old days of VGC with Porygon, Togekiss, not the old days, the old Sword and Shield, beginning of Sword and Shield days. But, you know, Lapras, Porygon, Togekiss, like, these were all the common max options just a while ago. So, there's Talonflame going for Tailwind, no surprise there. There's Eerie Impulse. It's just, if we eliminate Talonflame, Kartana has a very, very nice end game here for us. There's Resonance into Thundurus, yep. Beautiful, okay, yep, and we survived this better. Cause, like, the first time we went up against this, I mean, it was Life Orb plus Blizzard. This might still be Life Orb, let's see. Either way, I think this puts us in a really, really nice spot going into the next turn. Okay, it's not Life Orb. So Light Clay here would make a lot of sense, right? Okay, get Air Slash off. I mean, I can just go for another Eerie Impulse, right? And Air Slash again into Talonflame. We just want to knock out Talonflame right now. Because I want to max the Kartana once Talonflame is gone. Ooh, they actually have Heat Wave. Okay, but we dodge it. So Heat Wave is interesting over something like Flare Blitz. You know, typically do less damage, but whew, it's actually very good damage into Thundurus. And they target Thundurus down. Okay, yeah. That's fine. I think that was our best play. Although Heat Wave is actually very, very interesting. So the cool thing is now I can bring in Urshifu, and with Urshifu I can just go for an Aqua Jet to KO the Talonflame, right? I think we do that. We stall out another turn of Tailwind, and then in the end game we just max Kartana, go for a bunch of max Knuckles, and try to go from there. We also have Policy here, so if they end up activating the Policy on Togekiss this turn, that can give us some room to work with as well. It's just that Aqua Jet on Talonflame here is super duper obvious. I could see them switching out into Ferro. So maybe I protect Urshifu here, honestly. Because I don't want to get hit by Iron Barbs and then have them, like, I don't know, max Lightning us. I think I'm actually down to protect this turn and Air Slash into Talonflame. Okay, they stay in, that's fine. Even if you Heat Wave Resonance Togekiss, you just activate our Policy, so it's not that bad for us. Hurricane, whoa, okay. Dang. And there's Max Lightning, yeah. That is exactly what I wanted to play around. Cool. This ends up working out pretty well for us, because it's not like Togekiss getting any damage on Lapras would be significant at all right now, right? I think the one sad thing about this is that often your opponents, like, with the Thundurus Togekiss duo, is that often your opponents, like, don't think about Togekiss as the offensive threat, so they don't target it, so very rarely does your own weakness policy actually end up getting activated, which is a little bit sad, but that's okay. Either way, we've stalled out our opponent's max completely, which is decent for us. Bring out Nihilego. Okay, I mean, that's not a good sight for us to see, right? Still have Tailwind up. I might honestly rely on Thunder right now, which scares me. Because if you're my opponent, you probably want a Meteor Beam right now, right? Into Togekiss. I would activate our Policy. Hold on. We're, like, in a decent spot, but I have to assume they're going to go for Thunder this turn onto us, I think. So I actually think our best play is to switch out into Kartana right now, Dynamax Sustain. They're going to end up activating our Weakness Policy. We're going to max Airstream into Nihilego, and then Kartana can finish it off. And if they miss Thunder onto Urshifu, or onto the like, the main problem right now is if they Thunder, paralyze full para. But I think Dynamax Togekiss can definitely take a +1 Meteor Beam. So I actually feel kind of forced to max. The other play was to switch. We could have just protected Togekiss and gone for Surging Strikes onto Nihilego as well. But because they have Tailwind up, I think they would just go for Thunder. I guess the third alternative is to... actually... Yeah, because Nihilego can't do that much. Well, we'll see. Like, we should survive +1 Meteor Beam. Oh, they just go for Dazzling Gleam. Okay, that's really good for us. Dazzling Gleam, wow. And there's the Thunder. So, this ends up being okay for us. Hopefully no para here. Okay, good. It's really, really critical we did not get paralyzed that turn specifically. Because, hey, now I have Assault this Kartana out and I gave it a speed boost, right? That's really, really good for us. Dazzling Gleam Nihilego is super interesting to me, though. Huh. Okay, Tailwind Peter's out. I can even self-Smart Strike right now. I don't think there's a major need for that in this moment. I mean, this thing does no damage. Actually, because it was at -4, we probably could have just stayed in with Urshifu, but they would have gotten a Dazzling Gleam off, which I certainly was not expecting. So we can just Smart Strike into Nihilego right now. And I'm going to max Starfall so that they can't paralyze us, or paralyze Kartana with Thunder from... Oh, okay, nice switch. Into Ferrothorn, okay. I should have Sacred Sworded to cover for that then, I think. Yeah, not a great turn by me. I think it's still looking okay, but that was really the best switch in possible. The thing is that Lapras, like, we can ignore right now, right? It's not an offensive threat to us at all. And we have max Flare on this thing, so I can just Flare the Ferrothorn without issue this next turn. And more importantly, I have a speed boost on both of these, so I'll, you know, have a decent matchup right now into Nihilego. So I think we're still looking pretty good. And yeah, now by setting up terrain, you can't freeze us with Ice Beam too. 89 down to 64. So yeah, not that much damage, which is good. I think here we just launch Flare into Ferrothorn. Looks like it was Light Clay. Yep. So that's a little bit annoying, but that's fine. At least now I know you're not Weakness Policy, so Leaf Blade into... Yeah, Leaf Blade and Flare here is really safe. Like, even if you protect or switch out Ferrothorn, it's not that bad for us, right? Because you're slowly stalling out your own turns of screens. Okay, and they don't protect Ferrothorn. Wow, okay, that's actually really surprising to me. Like, this should be a game-winning turn for us then. I thought they had to protect or switch out to Nihilego once again, but I think Flare, even with screens up, should pick up the KO. Yep, and that should secure us the game. Because now we have Urshifu in the end game. Well, actually... No, it's not over yet. They can still win. Because now I've set up the Sun, meaning Aqua Jet does less to them. Yeah, they're just going to go for another Ice Beam into Kartana here. But that's why I really wanted to set up the terrain last turn, because like the one way I really saw my opponent getting back into this was a lot of crazy status conditions. Alright, so now he goes back out. We'll survive another Ice Beam on the Kartana right now, so I don't really think we need to worry too much. Let's just double check everything. +1 speed, -4 special attack. This is one thing I'm trying to get in the habit of doing more, like just checking all the conditions, because sometimes I forget about things, and it's very easy to forget about things. Key thing is that there are 2 turns of Aurora Veil left, right? So I think here I'm content to just go for Smart Strike onto Nihilego and Dazzling Gleam. That feels fine to me. No, they actually end up forfeiting. The game wasn't over yet, to be honest. I think my opponent actually still had an opportunity to win that one. But yeah, I'm curious about the Nihilego set. It's probably just Meteor Beam, just with and Power Orb, just with Dazzling Gleam as well, which is very, very interesting. But yeah, definitely a fun set of games here today. I think that this Togekiss set is really unique. It's just sad because we never really got the Sludge Wave max combo off turn 1 immediately, and but like in so many of the games, turn 1 Eerie Impulse was just way too valuable to not go for immediately. So like we really had to. I felt like with it. So yeah, but definitely a fun set of games to kick things off with this team. And so yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. You know, this features some really fun sets like the Togekiss, like the Garchomp, like the Thundurus. So looking forward to playing a couple more games with it tomorrow. But either way, I think it is a really strong team. So thank you to Bars. And to Raised once again for the team. Check them out, linked in the description below. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to answer the question of the day, and I'll see you all next time. All right, peace.